Well, hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching our coverage of the FIFA World Cup. Double bonanza today, one show at 7 p.m. Now we are live yet again at 10 p.m. We are going to build up to the big semi-final, Belgium versus France. That match, of course, is just 90 minutes away. In fact, less than 90 minutes away. Joining me in the studio, Frank Rausan Pereira, is Nilanjan Datta, senior sports journalist, and Jyoti and Burrett, former Indian player. Who will make it, Jyoti?
Too close to call.
The Blues or the Red Devils?
I have changed sides some 10 times today. I'll wait for another 3 hours.
All right, we'll wait for. We may have to wait a little longer as well, Nilanjan, if there's extra time and penalties. So exciting times ahead. We are excited here in the Rajya Sabha TV studio, and of course, I'm sure you too are excited. Let's take a look now at how France has prepared for this match. What has their history in the World Cup been, and how did they reach the semi-finals in FIFA 2018?
Making its 15th World Cup appearance, France will be hoping to advance to the finals tonight to have a chance at World Cup glory for the second time. The team impressed against Argentina and Uruguay, but now they are up against one of the most spectacular teams of the tournament so far, Belgium.
Cette équipe belge, elle est vraiment très performante dans la transition défensive, attaque rapide, comme on dit. Ça va vite et ils le font bien. Donc, j'ai fait en sorte de préparer mes joueurs à plusieurs cas de figure. Début de match.
On sait très bien que c'est une très grande équipe avec de très grands attaquants. Voilà, on ne se met pas de pression particulière. Voilà, on a joué aussi auparavant contre de très grands joueurs comme Messi, Suarez.
The road to the semi-finals has been bumpy for the French. In their opening group game against Australia, France won by a difference of just 1 goal, that too thanks to an own goal by the Aussies. The second group game against Peru saw the French beat them 1-0. In their final group game, Didier Deschamps' side faced a strong Danish side, and the game finished as the first goalless draw of this World Cup. The knockout phase has been better. They have dispatched 2 former champions, beating Argentina 4-3 in the round of 16 and then Uruguay 2-0 in the quarterfinals. This will be France's 6th semi-final appearance at the World Cup, while they have reached the finals twice. One in 1998 when they defeated Brazil 3-0 to be crowned champions, and another in 2006 where they lost 5-3 on penalties to Italy. Currently ranked 7th in the FIFA rankings, France first participated in the World Cup in 1930 and was among the 4 European teams that participated at the inaugural World Cup. Besides the 1 World Cup trophy, the French have 2 European Championships, an Olympic gold medal and 2 FIFA Confederations Cup. The team experienced much of its success in 3 major eras: the 1950s, the 1980s to the late 1990s and the early 2000s. In 1958, the team finished in 3rd place at the FIFA World Cup. In 1984, they won the UEFA Euro, and in 1998 won the World Cup. 2 years later, the team again won the UEFA Euro in 2000, Confederations Cup in 2001 and 2003, and reached the 2006 World Cup final. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
We'll get you updates from 3 footballing centres, major footballing hubs across the country as well over the next few minutes, and try and see what's the mood like there. We'll be getting you inputs from Thiruvananthapuram, from Goa and from Kolkata as well. But before I go across to our reporters, our correspondents who are standing by there, let me get a quick reaction from our studio guests first. Jyoti, as far as this game is concerned, you know, France versus Belgium, nervy times ahead for both teams, do you think?
Yes, very nervy times ahead. I think both teams would have really done their homework in terms of studying the other team and going in with well prepared tactically. into this game, which I feel is going to be a very tactical game.
You know, you've played football at the highest level. You know, you've played in matches like this, of course. What goes on in the mind of a player when he or she is going into play a match like this?
See, I mean, I'm sure there is pressure, but of course, I've never been to a World Cup. I can't even imagine the sort of pressure that they are under at the World Cup, and that too at the semi-finals of a World Cup. But these players, you know, they're professionals. They have, you know, they've done sports psychology. I'm sure they know how to calm those nerves, and I'm sure they're going in with a very positive approach, because I think for a player that's the most important thing, to go in there thinking that yes, you're going to win this. There has to be no doubt in a player's mind when they get onto the field. The minute that doubt creeps in, I feel that's where sometimes players lose it.
Butterflies, certainly, as far as players are concerned. Nilanjan, you too have watched players at the highest level from very close quarters. You're the media officer of the Indian national team. How do players prepare for big matches? I mean, you must have seen something, you know.
Each and I can speak from my experience of the national team. The players, each and everyone has their own style of preparation, apart from the rest and the meal timings and the meetings which happen each and every day. Maybe people have superstitions, that's one. People try to back each other up. Players go up to each other, speak from one room to the other, talk about situations, talk about match situations, try to enact match situations in personal meetings between the players. That's a must. And these players obviously are professionals, but you know what? The guy or the team which is mentally more fit today will be winning the match. Both the semi-finals and the finals. There's a difference between a club Champions League semi-final. Next year you'll be getting a chance. 4 years you're not sure of the next 40 minutes in your life, in each and everyone's life. And 4 years down the line, who comes in, whether the tournament, the team qualifies or not, it's an absolutely mental game out there. Whatever the quality is more or less 50-50 balanced, decision-making all boils down to the mental aptitude.
Indeed, mental strength is required too when you play any sport. In fact, it's not just the skill, it's not just the temperament, it's not just the physique, it's also mental strength that is equally important. Let me go across to our correspondents now and get a feel of what's happening first in Thiruvananthapuram. Panchanan, what's the scene like there?
Frank, football fever is out there in Kerala, and we are here at capital Thiruvananthapuram, and you can just I will let you see the visuals behind me. The multiplexes here in Thiruvananthapuram are the screening the football matches, and there is one match, semi-final 11:30. The screening will begin around 11. But before it, many football fans are started to gather here, and we will talk to some of them. What's your name?
My name is Shibin.
Can you tell what the football is like in Kerala, and regarding this today's semi-final between France and Belgium, to whom you are supporting?
I would say I'm supporting France because of the way how they have played, their matches. Initially, no, but after the match with the quarterfinals, it was really good how they took off. And in Kerala, if you could say, near the coastal regions and all these places, people are crazy for football. Now that the cricket fever has come in, but still, football is something which everyone plays in Kerala. So I would say that this match is definitely going to go with France, is what I feel.
Absolutely, very important semi-final today. And what you want to say regarding today's match? Because in Kerala we came across many views that either Brazil or Argentina was the favorite, but both are out from this tournament. So now, how you are seeing this today's semi-final between France and Belgium?
I can say that this is the final match, the first final, the final which is coming before the semi-final, before the last final, because this match is that much important. Okay. You especially came for this match screening? Yes, I am just come for. I am not that much a football fever man, but I came for seeing this match. So Frank, you've definitely seen that a special screening has been put on there.
Sure.
And
yes,
many fans are
Thank you for taking us through what's happening in Thiruvananthapuram. They're admitting that he is not a football fan, but such is football fever. Once in 4 years, everyone becomes a football fan. Nilanjan.
1.3 billion people complain as to why the country never plays in a World Cup. We are there to watch matches in multiplexes at 11:30. You are a sports lover. Encourage your kids, your relatives, your neighbors, everyone to come and, if not play football, play some sports. In the Asian Games, in the Olympics, all the continental championships, you'll be faring better. So this fan who's there needs to come back each and every day. He has to boost himself up, motivate himself up.
Motivate himself up. The Indian national captain has sent out a message, a few weeks ago, motivating fans. Several fans came out and cheered for Team India. We need that kind of momentum. We need that kind of support going forward as well. Kerala, Jyoti, is probably one of those places, one of those states in the country where football is far more popular than cricket, and they have sent more footballers to the Indian team than cricketers in the past. Now, my attention went to the cutouts behind the correspondent there. Lionel Messi and I think it was Neymar. There was a Brazilian footballer, I couldn't really tell whether it was Neymar or someone else. First time, probably, in World Cup history where Argentina, Brazil or Germany have not made it to the semi-final.
It's interesting, but I think it's also good for the game. You know, it's gonna throw up new names, it's gonna throw up new heroes, new idols for people to look up to, and especially in a country like India where we have like 3 or 4 people who everyone is a fan of. I think this World Cup will give them new names. You give them new teams to look at, new styles of play to look at. So it'll increase the interest in the sport as a whole, as opposed to just 3 or 4 major names.
New heroes to look forward to as far as India is concerned. We are creating our own heroes. The world too, world of football is creating new heroes as well. We'll talk about football from the other 2 centres, Goa and Kolkata as well in just a bit. I'm going to go across to Sandeep Yash and Rajat Kane. But before that, let's take a look at how Belgium has prepared for this semi-final. What has their road to the semi-finals looked like or been like? And what is the history of Belgian football?
A place in the World Cup finals is at stake when Belgium meets France for the 74th time at St. Petersburg today. Belgium has played some outstanding football in this edition of the FIFA World Cup, with many Belgian stars bursting onto the world stage. They started their World Cup journey on a winning note, defeating debutants Panama 3-0. In the second group game, 2 goals each from Romelu Lukaku and Eden Hazard sealed a 5-2 victory over Tunisia. In their final group game, Belgium were up against England, who they beat 1-0. The round of 16 was the first time the Belgians went behind in this World Cup, but they trumped Japan 3-2 after being down by 2 goals. But their biggest victory probably came in the quarterfinals against 5 times world champions Brazil. Belgium struck early and held off a late Brazil fight back to send the South Americans packing home.
Yeah, for us, it was a big step to win against Brazil. Also for our confidence and to show everybody that we could do it. Because Belgium is a small country, as you know. We have 11 million people living there. And we are very proud of what we can achieve and we can do as a group.
No, of course. I mean, we can be proud so far. I think what we performed in this World Cup, reaching a semi-final is a big achievement. But I think we want to go further now and don't give up. And I think we have to believe in our chances to get to the final and eventually win it.
Belgium have participated in 13 FIFA World Cups, including the current edition, 5 European Championships, and also featured at 3 Olympic football tournaments, including the 1920 Olympic tournament, which they won. Their first FIFA World Cup participation was way back in 1930. The team also finished as runners-up at Euro 1980 and 4th in the 1986 World Cup. In 2015, Belgium topped the FIFA World Rankings for the first time. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, from the southernmost state of mainland India, let's go across to Small state now, Goa, another heartland as far as Indian football is concerned. Rajat Kane, take us through what's happening in Goa.
Well, Frank, atmosphere here is absolutely electric. It's Goa football. It's not just in curriculum, I would say, not just a sport, but it's in the blood. I'm here inside the Don Bosco School auditorium where they have set up an elaborate screening for public. And there, in the very compound, you can see boys who are still playing. It's 10:15, but enthusiasm is not weaning out. There are some flags of various teams. Of Portugal, Germany, Brazil, Argentina. Sadly, some of them could not make it to this point. Now, I have with me these two youngsters who are behind this entire preparation, Sharmad and Eric. Sharmad, for how many years you've been putting up such a show?
We've been doing this for about at least 6 to 8 years now. We've done this for the previous World Cup. We've done this for Euros. And we also do it on a regular basis for our local supporters clubs. And we hope to do it for the next World Cup too.
Football in Goa is a lot more than a sport. What exactly is the sport defined as being?
Football, as you know, Goa is crazy about football. Football is not just a sport here, it's more of a religion here. And we can see from all the numbers that come in for every game, it's like every team has hundreds of supporters. The stands over here, the oratory is almost full at times. So you can see that the craze is still there of football. And with ISL, I guess it has improved a lot.
So you have ISL, you have I-League, you have come to the larger tournament, rather bigger tournaments. You have European League, you have UEFA, you have now the World Cup. So this screening, as you told me, it's there rather every big game. So what is the public response to it?
As compared to the previous World Cup, I think it's a bit low. But overall, I think even when we are for small games, we are drawing crowds of about 100 or so. And for big games, for the Spain-Portugal game, we had about 500 or so. So as you can see, all these stands were packed. There were people sitting on the floor because there were not enough places. And we hope the semi-finals and finals is always big games. So we hope to draw a good crowd for that.
Today's match, I presume that Belgium happens to be a local favorite, considering that the number of people I spoke to. A small sample, rather. I was interviewing boys from the Dempo Football Club and Sporting Club. So, I mean, rather, a lot of them were rooting for Belgium. Whom do you think has a better chance, or rather better team composition for today's game?
See, personally, we have my football club. The club I support has teams on both players. But I think France has a better chance because they have a more balanced team. So I'm hoping that France wins.
I have with me Eric, who is also ex-Don Bosco, and he's also involved in organizing this event. Eric, who is your favorite for today's game?
For today, I think Belgium, because they have stunned the previous favorites, Brazil, and they have a well-balanced team as well. Their attack is looking good, so I think I go for Belgium tonight.
So when we see at 11:30, when this hall will be packed with crowds, you think there'll be a rather divide between France and Belgium?
As we've gone with past screening, there has been a good crowd, good turnout for both teams. So I guess yes, definitely.
So there we have Frank. Football, as I said, is in the air, and also we'll be having fans from both the sides cheering for the team. Like here, these two boys, one is rooting for France, the other one is rooting for Belgium.
All right, that's what's happening in Goa. Two young men seem to know their football, Nilanjan. Big screen, boys playing football at 10:20 in the night.
That's
interesting
Goa.
To see.
That's Goa, in fact. Always a romanticism in the air. And which sport is synonymous with romanticism? Obviously, it's football. Everyone loves their football out there. You go out on the streets, everyone's wearing a jersey, whether it be of the national team, of a Dempo Sports Club, Churchill Brothers, European clubs, even Europe means foreign countries, other countries playing in the World Cup. Football is a religion in Goa. It's absolutely a religion in Goa.
You know, Goa, small little state, but has always had an Indian player from that part of the country, and it's good to see that youngsters too are still taking to the game.
Yeah, it's very heartening to see, and they're good at it. You know, of course, they have the sand, and you know, football, as we know, is such an easy game. All you need is a ball and some space, and that's why I feel it's the game for the masses. And
it's a game for everyone.
It's a game for everyone, really. And in Goa, they have it all. I mean, they love their football there, and it's good to see that tradition carrying on.
Let's now talk about Belgium. We spoke about France. The two boys in Goa seem to be split on whether they want France or France or Belgium to win. I'm sorry. Let's talk about Belgium now. And where do their strengths lie, do you think, Jyoti?
Their strengths lie definitely in their midfield, and their attacking midfield. It's sort of, so they're basically their attack from midfield to their strikers who have been in form. Lukaku, I mean, whatever shots he's had on goal, he scored, I think, 4 or 5 or something. He scored 4 of 5. So he's definitely someone who's on target. He's scoring. Hazard has been a handful at this World Cup. You know, he's unpredictable. He's always getting in there. He's always winning fouls. He's getting them set pieces. And then of course there's De Bruyne, who's matured so much since his days at Chelsea, that now he's like the fulcrum of this Belgian team. And he can literally do everything. He's their playmaker, and as we saw in the last game, he can strike the ball.
Nilanjan, there are clearly chinks in the armour as far as Belgium is concerned. They had it easy right through the group stages. They were down and out almost against Japan, but came back very strongly and won that game 3-2. They proved they are a world-class side when they beat Brazil 2-1. They dominated that game as well. So what are the chinks in the armour as far as Belgium is concerned?
Defense.
What are the worries?
The defense, because they have been conceding in almost each and every match. They have conceded 5 to 6 goals in the tournament so far, and for a team which is aiming to win the championship or being predicted to win the World Cup, that's too much for a World Cup semi-final. Because they are up against a side who loves to attack, knows to attack, and from where to attack and how to attack, when to attack. So that's the biggest danger and the threat which they need to nullify at the midfield, in and around the penalty zone if they are there, because Paul Pogba, Griezmann, Mbappe, Oliver Giroud has not done anything much for France except maybe in the post-goal celebrations we see him, but he's capable of doing it. He's due. He's due still, hasn't scored. So that's the area where
big players deliver in big games.
Big players deliver in big games. So that's the area where Belgium needs to be very, very worried about. The pace of Mbappe, they need to check, and unless they check it in the midfield, I believe Fellaini has to play a big role in today's match because of his physique, because of his presence, a kind of a destroyer. He would be very a vital key for Belgium.
We'll talk about strategy, we'll talk about who will be up against whom in just a bit. Later on in the program, we'll try and break down the playing 11 and the zones that they'll probably play with, and also the formation. But before that, from Belgium and France, let's go to Kolkata and see what Sandeep Yash has for us from the City of Joy. Over to you, Sandeep.
धन्यवाद फ्रैंक। अभी कुछ देर पहले हमने यहाँ कुछ जानकारों से बात की जिसमें कुछ दिलचस्प तथ्य नजर आए। यहाँ के लोगों के हिसाब से, जानकारों के हिसाब से वर्ल्ड कप जीतने लायक जो पहली टीम है वो फ्रांस है, दूसरी बेल्जियम है, तीसरी इंग्लैंड है और चौथी क्रोएशिया है। तो ये जानना बहुत जरूरी है क्योंकि ये शहर अपने फुटबॉल के लिए, अपने फुटबॉल के ज्ञान के लिए जाना जाता है। तो हम बात करेंगे यहाँ कुछ युवाओं से और उनसे जानना चाहेंगे कि आखिर इस जो उनकी ये सोच है उसके पीछे क्या वजह है।
फ्रांस नंबर 1 कंटेंडर इसीलिए है क्योंकि फ्रांस में बहुत ही अच्छे प्लेयर है, जैसे एम्बापे है, देन ग्रीजमान है। ये लोग बहुत ही एक्सट्रीम लेवल के प्लेयर है, बड़े क्लब्स में खेलते हैं। सेकंड कंटेंडर बेल्जियम इसीलिए है क्योंकि बेल्जियम के सारे प्लेयर वर्ल्ड के बड़े क्लबों में खेलते हैं। कुछ प्लेयर मैन यू में खेलते हैं, कुछ मैन सिटी में खेलते हैं, कुछ चेल्सी में खेलते हैं। तो ऑब्वियसली वो नंबर 2 में है। और नंबर 3 में इंग्लैंड है क्योंकि इंग्लैंड बहुत ही बड़े कंट्री है। लास्ट 12 ईयर से अच्छा परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहे इंग्लैंड, लेकिन स्टिल इंग्लैंड बहुत बड़ी टीम्स के नाम से जाने जाते हैं। वहीं पर अगर हम क्रोएशिया को देखें तो क्रोएशिया में रैकिटिच, देन मॉडरिच, शोबैचिच, इन लोगों को छोड़ के उतना बड़े कोई प्लेयर है नहीं। तो इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि क्रोएशिया 4 नंबर होना चाहिए।
आपको क्या लगता है किस तरह की स्ट्रैटेजी के तहत फ्रांस उतरेगा इस मैच में?
देखिए आज के मैच में मेरे को लगता है फ्रांस आगे रहेगा। आई विल सपोर्ट बेल्जियम, बट मेरे को लगता है कि फ्रांस आगे रहेगा क्योंकि फ्रांस में एक्सपीरियंस प्लेयर हैं बहुत सारे। तो फ्रांस अटैकिंग खेलेंगे और उधर से बेल्जियम भी अटैकिंग खेलेंगे, लेकिन आई थिंक फ्रांस का पल्ला भारी रहेगा।
एक दिलचस्प तथ्य ये भी है कि ये चौथी बार वर्ल्ड कप में हो रहा है फ्रैंक, कि सारी जो चारों टीम्स हैं सारी यूरोपियन टीम्स हैं। फिलहाल हम बात करते हैं एक और साथी से अपने और जानना चाहेंगे।
हम लोग तो 100% श्योर है फ्रांस चैंपियन होगा। जैसे फ्रांस 1998 में चैंपियन हुआ था जिदान को हाथ पकड़ के ब्राजील को हराकर, तो हम लोग इस बार भी आशा रखते हैं कि फ्रांस ही चैंपियन होगा। फ्रांस का जो प्लेयर है एम्बापे, एंटोनी ग्रीजमैन और जो पॉल पोगबा है, तो हम लोग बहुत अच्छा प्लेयर है, बड़ा बड़ा क्लब में खेलते हैं और उसका जो स्किल है हम लोग देखे, पूरा जो वर्ल्ड कप का मैच है बहुत अच्छा स्किल देखे। तो हम लोग जो और एक बात है हम लोग का फ्रांस के लिए कि वो लोग अर्जेंटीना को हराया। तो हम लोग का जो बंगाल का है, तो आप जानते ही है कि बंगाल अर्जेंटीना और ब्राजील का ज़्यादा फैन है, तो हम लोग पहले ब्राजील का फैन है, तो इसलिए वो जो अर्जेंटीना को हराया था हम लोग का दुश्मन को हराया, इसलिए हम सब फ्रांस का है। लेकिन हमारा साथी फ्रांस का जर्सी भी खरीदने लग गए, हम लोग भी कल खरीदेंगे और आशा रखेंगे कि फ्रांस ही चैंपियन होगा। जैसे
आप ये बताइए कि पिछले कुछ वर्षों में कलकत्ता में फुटबॉल जो है उसके स्तर में गिरावट आई है। अब ना तो मोहन बगान में वो बात रही है, ना इस बंगाल में वो बात रही है। जो ये वर्ल्ड कप आया एक बार फिर से यहाँ बंगाल में एक नई एक ऊर्जा दिख रही है। इसका देश की मैच फुटबॉल है बाकी स्टेट्स में, उस पर क्या असर देखते हैं?
इंडिया तो फुटबॉल में रैंकिंग बहुत अच्छा हो गया, पहले 172 था, अभी 98 में आ गया। तो हम लोग तो फुटबॉल में बहुत उन्नति कर रहे हैं ना, इसलिए तो हम लोग आशा रखते हैं कि इंडिया में अगले कुछ साल में वर्ल्ड कप में जाएंगे। इस साल अंडर 18 में इंडिया भी खेले और बहुत अच्छा खेले। हम लोग अंडर 18 का जो खेले तो हम बहुत अच्छा खेले, तो हम लोग आशा रखेंगे कि जो सीनियर टीम है वो भी अगले साल कुछ साल में वर्ल्ड कप में चले जाएंगे, तो हम लोग इंडिया को भी सपोर्ट कर सकेंगे।
अच्छा, थैंक यू। बस एक सवाल आपसे आखिरी हमारा ये है।
All right, I think we've got a good update there from Kolkata as well. Sandeep Yash, Rajat Kane and Panchanan Mishra, thank you for joining us from the three centres there, heartlands of Indian football, and taking us through the football fever in all those three places. I saw a big smile on Nilanjan's face when the fan in West Bengal was talking about Indian football. Nilanjan, happy man?
I can sniff and smell the excitement in Kolkata. My baptism to Indian football or football in general came from that city, and what happens is everyone speaks football. And not only during the World Cup, all throughout the year. My mom, my aunt, my grandmother, everyone discussed football, which made me a football fan. Leave aside my father, my uncle, my elder brothers, everyone seems to know their football out there. It's a total football-oriented culture. People love the beautiful sport.
Jyoti, but there seems to be a sense of disappointment as far as the Indian fans are concerned. They're very unhappy. Each one of them, from all the three centres, brought up Brazil, brought up Argentina, and how they're disappointed that they're not in the semi-finals.
Yeah, it was expected, you know, sometimes football becomes synonymous with these three big names, you know, like Brazil, Argentina.
More so Brazil and Argentina, the South Americans in India especially.
For sure. I think because of the legacy that they have, and it's always been associated, you know, with Brazil and football has always been in people's minds.
And synonymous with each other.
And synonymous, you know, like Ronaldo, they just think of these names pop up. And I think it's high time that these names change. I think, I mean, I would like to see these names change.
Yeah, we would like to see those names change, but it doesn't look like they're going to change anytime in the near future. But on that note, we'll slip into a short break. On the other side, we'll take a look at what's happening at both the embassies, France and Belgium, and we'll also talk about strategy as far as France and Belgium are concerned. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Enter the majestic forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhavan and you'll come across the Jaipur column. A gift to the Viceroy from Savai Madho Singh, the Maharaja of Jaipur, to commemorate the creation of the new capital. The 145-meter high column is crowned with 6 pointed crystal stars on a bronze lotus, and inside the stone shaft runs a steel tube which weighs a little more than 5 tons. The base of the column has text conceived by Lord Irwin and Sir Edwin Lutyens inscribed on it.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Rausan Pereira. You're watching our coverage of the FIFA World Cup. We are building up to the big semi-final, Belgium versus France. Let's take a look now at the possible starting lineup as far as Belgium is concerned. We've got Courtois in goal, Alderweireld, defender, Company also in defence, Vertonghen in defence, Chadli, Carrasco, Fellaini, Witsel, De Bruyne, Hazard and Lukaku. Let's take a look at the formation as far as this team is concerned. Belgium is likely to play a 3-4-3 kind of a formation. The goalkeeper in goal, 3 defenders, 2 wingers actually, but more you can call them right back and left back. And then we've got 3 midfielders, rather 2 midfielders, I beg your pardon, and 3 forwards, De Bruyne, Hazard and Lukaku. Jyoti, as far as this team is concerned, you know, team news is that Meunier will be unavailable. So Chadli is likely to play in his position on the right flank. And we are also likely to have Carrasco playing on the left. Is that going to make a big difference?
Might miss Meunier a little bit on the right flank, but I don't see Chadli. I mean, he's had a good game. He's coming off high on confidence since the last game. So it may not be such a big problem for them. I think what will work for them is Fellaini playing in that very central role there, sort of with his presence, winning the aerial balls. And that also allows De Bruyne to move up a bit, which he likes. He likes playing a slightly more attacking role than he has been given so far.
He scored that goal against Brazil from the right as
exactly,
well. So
because he was playing
that's a position that he likes to play.
Yeah.
Defense, you said, has been susceptible as far as Belgium is concerned. Roberto Martinez is likely to play 3 in defense today, and then he has the wingers, Alderweireld, Company and Vertonghen. Is that a concern for you?
I don't think so. They will realistically play with a 3-man defense. That can be a bit of a risk given it's a semi-final. And what happens, my personal opinion is that whenever you have someone in the opposition who can run fast with the ball, which Mbappe can, when someone's running, that individual, there are 2 or 3 players who are running parallelly and drawing people to them. So 3-man defense, unless you are able to put people behind the ball, is a bit susceptible. There are open spaces from where you can play very easily. So I think so they will be playing 4. If not 3, the 2 people in front has to be there. Fellaini has to absorb.
How good is Fellaini going to be against the pace of someone like an Mbappe and
the physical presence? He is not a charming player with his skills. Means he's not as good to look at as Eden Hazard or what do you say, Kevin De Bruyne, but he's someone who absorbs the pressure. He's someone who's a destroyer. These are unsung heroes in all teams you have. The physical presence of 6'4" and someone, when you see him in front of him with this big hair, any player would not be liking him. He almost took off Neymar from that match. Maybe I think so he'll be planted to put off Griezmann or take Griezmann off the match. So his presence would also be a good aerial threat for France when they have the set pieces and when they move out.
Is Belgium going to play the aerial game? I'm going to go back to a point that Nilanjan made. 9 of the 11 players on the field are all above 6 feet. So that works to Belgium's advantage. So are they going to change their strategy a little bit, do you think? Maybe bring De Bruyne and Eden Hazard back a little bit, make them help in midfield and in defense because of the fast pace of the Frenchmen, and play the aerial game maybe then after that.
Personally, I don't think they would. I think they like playing grounded football. They like going through the middle. I don't think they would want to change that, apart from, set pieces, where of course they'll send up their company and they'll send up Fellaini and stuff to be in there. But I think they're going to stick to their original game. It's been working for them. They like the ball at their feet, and I don't see why they will change that against France. France has a decently tall defense too, so I don't think that they'd go for that.
There's a wall called Courtois in goal. Can the French beat him?
Yeah, any goalkeeper can be beatable. The self-belief of both the goalkeepers, or any goalkeeper in this match, the goalkeeper tells to himself in the preparation for a match, and his teammates also tell him, you can't be beaten today. That self-confidence ignites and transpires onto the confidence of the entire team. And when you have a goalkeeper at the back, when a striker goes 1v1, takes a shot, the entire team knows the goalkeeper is there, he'll be taking care of it. That's the kind of confidence which a goalkeeper brings in a team, and his performance in the last match was outstanding. Both the goalkeepers, in fact, pulled off blinders to keep their teams in, would be playing a major role, both him and Hugo Lloris on the other side.
Will Belgium play on the counter, or will they take the attack to France, do you think?
That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. Obvious, you can't be much adventurous in a World Cup semi-final, and especially against a team like France. So what may have worked for them against a weaker opposition, against Brazil, I'm not saying Brazil are a weaker opposition, may not necessarily work for them against France. They will be trying to absorb the pressure and then go on to the attack, not go all out into the attack right from the first minute itself. Being adventurous in such a match can boomerang and come back to you.
Players to watch out for as far as the Belgian side is concerned today, Jyoti?
Definitely Lukaku, and I would say Hazard. I think Hazard has, silently played a huge role in their campaign so far. He's someone who's very hard to mark, someone hard to, stop, and he's going to win them, I think, a couple of very deadly set pieces today.
What about your personal favourite, De Bruyne?
De Bruyne, I want to see him play more attacking, in his happy spot, slightly up front. I think that's where he's most dangerous. But we'll have to wait and see their approach, whether they're going to be slightly tentative or, go up and attack.
The front three, Nilanjan, do you think? And one at the back, the key players for Belgium today,
Lukaku,
key ones to watch out for?
Lukaku, because of his physical presence. Rarely do you have you found a striker in this World Cup who's as big as Lukaku. And whoever the defenders may be, a 6'4", as bulky as that, coming onto your shoulder and elbowing you each and every time, there's a difference between Lukaku and maybe a Kun Aguero. Because he's small, he's nippy. Lukaku may not be that much nippy as Aguero is, but he's there directly on your body, and defenders hate such people. He takes out the energy out of them. He'll be getting under the skin. He has a big role to play.
Since you brought up Kun Aguero, just for the heck of it, just for the fun of it, I'm going to say Raheem Sterling. All right, let's take a look now at the other team, and we'll see what the possible 11 as far as France is concerned. If we can have that on our screens right now, we'll have Hugo Lloris in goal. Pavard, Varane, Umtiti and Hernandez will make up the back four. Kante, Pogba defensive midfielders. Mbappe, Griezmann, Matuidi will make up the attacking midfield, and Giroud will be the lone striker, the fox in the box, as Nilanjan calls him. This would make up the possible lineup of France. This is how they will form, of course, a 4-2-3-1 kind of a formation. 4 at the back, 2 in midfield, 3 attacking midfield options, and 1 out-and-out striker. Let's take a look and talk to my guests about the team in particular. Loris in goal. Jyoti, been good for you?
Yeah, he's been excellent. I think he pulled out a couple of blinders in their last game, and I think they owe him keeping that sheet for them. He's been good through even like the season with Tottenham. He's definitely one of the top goalkeepers, and I'm sure they feel very secure with him in goal.
Talking about feeling secure in goal, the defenders have impressed me. I've been impressed with the French defence. I do not expect so much out of them. You've been impressed with them, Nilanjan?
Very balanced, very compact, but having said that, they have not been put to test that much. They played, even if we call it from the round of 16, Argentina, who were not real Argentina, and in the last match against Uruguay minus Cavani. There's a difference in the adventurism and the creativity and the energy of Belgium against those two teams whom they played. So the French defense, maybe for the first time in the knockout stage, would be tested much more. And with nippy players from the back coming up and with Lukaku's presence, don't forget that they would be having corners and set pieces in and around the box in that zone. That much of test the French defense has not been tested so far, but so far they have been very compact, very balanced, backing each other, defending in numbers. That goes without saying.
The three forwards for Belgium play in the English Premier League. The way they play football is very different. The four defenders for France, three of them play in the Spanish League, top clubs in the Spanish League, and one of them, of course, plays in the German League for Stuttgart. Is that going to make a difference, do you think? English style of play versus the Spanish style of play in football? The forwards versus the defenders.
England versus Spain. Not really, because when you are playing for your national team, it's a different combination and a different sort of attack and a strategy which you go ahead with. Obviously, in a club football, the strategies are different. In the Belgium national team or even the French national team, the strategies are different. There are some players, when you bring this up, there, as Jyoti had mentioned earlier very rightly, playing against each other in their respective clubs. They play for the same team.
The defensive midfielders for France both play in the English Premier League, Pogba and Kante. So they know each other's games very well. Could that be a difference? Could that make the difference?
Fellaini versus Pogba. They meet each other each and every day in the practice and they know each other's strengths. That would be very interesting, and that makes the match much more appealing to all the fans, because you know in such a situation he may go right, he may go to the left, he'll just play the holding ball, he'll just wait. So that adds that the players need to bring up something new to get past your teammate, which you are doing in and day out.
Pitting one against the other, since we are there, Kante versus Hazard could be an interesting head-to-head. Jyoti, both play for Chelsea. Very
interesting, I think, because both of them, such key players for Chelsea. Hazard, of course, the more celebrated one, but Kante slightly, in the shadows of Hazard at Chelsea, I feel. Today will be the true test. Kante, excellent defensive skills. He's a perfect defensive midfielder, and Hazard, of course, is the perfect attacking midfielder, and them going up against each other, they have to really pull something new out of the bag, as Nilanjan was saying, because they cannot be predictable. These are people who, they know each other's game, so today is going to be new.
Who's going to win? France's defense or Belgium's attack?
See, I've always rated Kante very highly. I think he's excellent, so I trust him to really do a good, stellar job in his role as defensive midfield.
Let's talk about your favourite in the World Cup so far, Kylian Mbappe.
Big match for him. Very
19 years of age. Wears the number 10 jersey. That's a very coveted jersey. Big match for him.
And who had owned the number 10 jersey? Zinedine Zidane, the French great. Somewhat I was reading, Eden Hazard said, Kante, Mbappe used to watch me, now I'm, sorry, excuse me. Mbappe used to watch me, now I'm watching him play. So that's the kind of respect, mutual respect, which rival players have for him. If he's given the space, which I believe he won't be today, if you give him the space, it's at your own cost. He runs, the others run with you. He controls the momentum of the match, regulates, and France sees the initiative. Young guy has to keep his mind cool, because it will be a big lesson for him. They'll try to intimidate him, irritate him as much as you can. This is part of gamemanship. Looking forward to seeing him play today.
Griezmann being played as a playmaker in this French side. Are you happy with what he's done thus far? Is he going to be key in this particular game, Jyoti?
Griezmann, is one of those players who has a knack of getting involved somehow. He's a small guy. He doesn't make a huge impact, but somehow he gets into the box and he causes some damage there. And what is really good about Griezmann are his false runs. So he takes away defenders and actually leaves some of his teammates free. Leaves space for Giroud or Mbappe to actually get a shot on goal. So Griezmann's role is not sometimes overlooked, but very important.
Matuidi is back from his suspension. Do you think Didier Deschamps is going to make him play?
Yes, I think so. He's been a good player for them, and he'll be a boost to be back in the squad. I think they missed him against Uruguay, and he's definitely their starting 11 sort of player.
Let's talk about the final player now, since we've spoken about everyone else. The man that you brought up earlier in the program, Olivier Giroud. He's the number 9, if I'm not mistaken. He wears that jersey, doesn't he? Yeah. So, but he hasn't scored a goal so far in the tournament.
Maybe due tonight to score something. Has only been visible in the goal celebrations. He has been playing the supporting role, in fact. Not that you always need to score goals. You draw away players when the others are there. His presence is always a big factor. He has, in fact, said that I need to prove to Thierry Henry that he's in the wrong camp. And there's a Frenchman also there on the Belgian side, on the Belgian bench.
Okay, all right. Talking about France now. My colleague Akhilesh Suman is standing by at the French embassy here in New Delhi. Let's go over to him and see what it is like there at the French embassy before this big semi-final.
Yes, Frank, you know that only 40 minutes are left now before the France and Belgium will fight together, and we'll see that who will win the semi-final. But I'll show you the environment here, that how a big screen is put on here, so that spectators who are coming here, who love French team, who can see that how French are fighting with Belgium. France had been one time world champion in football. And now we can see the young people who love football. They are gathered here. And I'll ask them that why they like French team so much. Oh, they are cheering up. So I'll ask you that, are you from France?
Yeah, I'm from Paris.
So why you like French team? Do you have a strength to fight with the golden? They are being told that Belgium is a golden team this time. Golden young people are there.
Yeah, but I think France really has got their chance, and I think we've got a lot of young talent and a lot of possibility to win this game.
What about your French team?
Sorry?
What about your French team?
I think our French team is really good, and we have really chances to win. That's what I meant, yeah.
What do you think that who is going to win in this match today?
Yes, it will be a very important match and a good match, I think, with some goals. So we have to do a good match. It's tonight or never. So I hope to win tonight.
Do you have something to say about French team?
Yes, they'll win 2-0. And Fekir will score two goals. Fekir scored 2 goals.
How many goals do you think that they can make?
2-0.
2-0. Yes. France will 2 and Belgium will be 0.
Yes, of course.
Oh my God. From India, I think, do you like French team also?
Of course, sir. Of course, we do love it.
Why do you like French team?
Because we work for French embassy.
Why?
Because we work for French.
Really? And you also like French?
We work for the French embassy, and we're sure this time the French will win the World Cup.
How many goals do you think that France can?
2-0.
2-0.
I don't know why everyone is telling that they will win by 2-0. So it is something that you have faith in something, and then people will decide on themselves that they will get 2-0. So they are not giving any goal to Belgium. It's so surprising. So there are some other young people. Yeah.
I'm just going to come back to you if I can in just a bit, but let me just go across to my guests here as well in the studio. Festive times in the embassies as well. 2-0 is what the French are saying. I don't think the Indian staff at the embassy had an option, I mean, other than to go with France. But whom are you going to go with, Jyoti? 2-0 is what they are saying. As far as France is concerned, is it going to be that easier scoreline for France?
I wouldn't think so. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a free-flowing, free-scoring game. I would go much closer. I would say either 2-1, 3-2. You know, I would look at that being the scoreline, and I think I'd go with Belgium to win, actually.
Belgium to win?
Belgium will score. Can they defend?
Scoreline? Yeah. You never give us a score. So today I'm going to get a scoreline for you.
2-1 Belgium.
2-1. Oh, both of you, Belgium. Okay, let's see what happens. I would say France 3-2. All right. Quick comments now on, we've spoken about the players. We should speak about the coaches as well. Two stellar coaches, Robert Martinez and Didier Deschamps. Let's talk about Deschamps first.
His experience of having won a World Cup, the first time for France, would be having quite an effect. He can tell to the players how to handle a World Cup semi-final because he has been there, won it, and then also a World Cup final. That has a huge cooling and calm effect on the entire team.
Deschamps on our screen right now, along with Nilanjan, both dashing looking men. Jyoti? Roberto Martinez.
Such a smart coach. I mean, so much experience behind him, and with working with Thierry Henry, it's going to be interesting to see their approach to this game. You know, two great minds together. I think they can pull off a great victory here over the French.
Mind games.
Mind games for sure. Yeah.
Games on the field, mind games in the stands or on the sidelines as well. Thierry Henry, since you brought up Henry, I have to talk about Henry. Nilanjan, where is his heart going to lie tonight?
He's a die-hard professional. There have been so many coaches in international football who have been against their own nations. Obviously, his heart may be with France, but a thorough professional will always be doing his job for the Belgian team. He wins in any case. At the end of the day, I believe the only man on the field who wins and doesn't lose is Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry, a great player, Jyoti. What has he brought to the table for Belgium, do you think?
Just tons of experience. You know, as a player, you can share some sort of experience that sometimes even a manager can't. You know, just that experience of being there, having done that. And someone like Thierry Henry is such a prolific striker. You know, the stuff that he would impart to people like Lukaku, it's priceless. Priceless having him.
Talking about the coaching staff, the support staff, and everyone else involved, Nilanjan, what kind of a role do they play?
Huge.
And what is their contribution to the team? Because see, we see the players on the field, so everyone thinks that it's all about the players, but there's a big coaching staff that does its job at the back too, who's never seen on screen.
The medical staff, the communications people, the team manager, the equipment manager. It's a total well-built joint family. They eat together, sleep together, laugh together, cry together. Each and everyone has a specific role designated. He need not be told what he needs to be do. And the match preparation, I've been fortunate enough, I believe Jyoti also, when she has played for the national team. The match preparation for an international match is something else which the experience you can only carry with yourself and it stays with you. Obviously you share it. It's something else, means building up for the nation, working up for your own country. It's absolutely magical, and each one of those individuals which you named, the masseur, the physiotherapist, the doctor, the fitness manager, the equipment manager, everyone has a role to play in that quest for to attain perfection.
It's truly a team sport, and everyone is involved in this particular game. We saw what's happening at the French embassy. Let's now go over to the Belgium embassy and see what's happening there. Anu Diwan is standing by. Anu, if you can hear me, take us through what's happening in the Belgian embassy.
Hello. Yeah, Frank, I'm right here at Belgium embassy, and you can see here a lot of people are smiling, facing, and they all are cheering up for their country. I would like to ask you, how are you going to cheer for your country?
Well, we will sing, we will shout, we will jump.
And we,
Sorry?
Can we have your song?
Yes, so Everywhere we go, people want to know where we come from, So we tell them, we're from Belgium, And if you can't hear us, then sing a little louder.
See, Frank, you can see all the cheering faces. This is like a festive mode right here. We also have an ambassador here. Sir, I want to ask you, what are your expectations on the goal? How many goals you are aiming?
Well, we're certainly going to make the winning goal tonight. That's the most important.
Okay. We also have a FIFA lover here who told me that she is a FIFA lover. Ma'am, how you are going to cheer for your country?
I'm going to cheer. I'm going to hip hip hooray. I hope they will win, and I'm here to support them. And I hope they do win.
How many goals you are expecting?
I'm expecting maybe 2-0. That would be a realistic expectation.
And I have few more FIFA lovers here. I would like to ask you, sir, how many goals you are expecting and which player you are aiming at?
3-2. Belgium should win. Yeah.
How are you going to cheer?
We'll shout, we'll whistle, we'll jump. And
you'll see us live. You'll see us on.
Belgium is certainly going to win, and it will be a great match. Everybody's going to enjoy it very much. And we are going to support Belgium. The whole room is going to be full of fans of Belgium here, and it's going to be a big spectacle.
You can see the enjoyment these faces are. You can see these faces, how much they are loving for the FIFA, and especially they are supporting their country, and all are preparing just waiting for the match to start.
I love that song. Thank you, Anudivan, and I like the fact that the ambassador was there himself, cheering his team on and partaking in that interview as well. He didn't have to do that, Nilanjan, but yet he came to the forefront. Leading from the front is the ambassador as well.
That's the spirit.
That is indeed the spirit. Jyoti?
It was lovely to see. It's lovely to see.
How does it feel when the fans cheer the way that the Belgians did, singing that song when you're playing the game?
Oh, it's amazing. And that's definitely going to lift the players on the field, you know. Every time, you know, when you feel that lactic acid building up and you hear your fans edging you on, that's just what, you know, gets you by and it pushes you to make that extra sprint. And all those fans cheering for Belgium in the stands, at home, everything is, you know, going to make them want to give it that little bit more today.
Half an hour away from kickoff time. We are going to call it a wrap here in our studio, and we are going to head home and hopefully make it in time for the start of the whistle at 11:30 p.m. Nilanjan, a pleasure having you here.
Same here.
Jyoti, pleasure as always.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on this telecast. See you again at 7 p.m. tomorrow. We will have a telecast like today at 10 p.m. as well, where we will discuss the second semi-final. See you then.